Welcome to the Life in Red podcast. This is a way of life that emphasizes positive sexuality, self-love, and confidence. On this journey, red is now your new color. Be courageous. Be passionate. Be sexy. And never stop living your best red life. So now I have one question for you. Are you ready to live your life in red? To join us on this journey, like and subscribe below.
That's absolutely beautiful. So when we are going to shift this now into the realm of sex, because this show is about sex positivity, we get into trauma, we get into, I'm here to give people a snapshot of your world and healing, or doing what you do around sex. How can plant medicine, how can this practice, what circumstances, what things would people benefit from with that healing around sexuality?
Well, I think that it depends on where they're at in their journey, if they're doing couples work or if they're doing individual work. Because for healing sexual trauma, like I said, MDMA, if you're talking about psychedelics, is a really great medicine for that. But if we're not talking about plant medicine at all, then I would start someone with a 2-hour integrative healing session where they would come and we would do different forms of expressive art therapy, whether that again is like drawing or painting. Like maybe I have them connect with their womb and move as their womb, or take the shape of how they feel towards their womb. I would help them integrate their body into the experience, and then we would do some clearing work energetically with Reiki, internal family systems, which is a type of parts work that I do with clients, helping them get to know their blockage as a part of themselves that they can connect with and communicate with, and so that they don't feel like that's all of who they are, and that sometimes is really liberating for folks and really empowering. And then sometimes I have folks that are microdosing things like psilocybin, and I guide them through a process of connecting with themselves deeper with a small dose of medicine, and that they're doing on their own. And so again, they're coming to me for the integration, the preparation of these psychedelic experiences, and to more deeply get to know the parts of themselves that are blocked. So when it comes to sexuality, is it that you don't even like touch? Do you just not like the smell of your partner's breath? Are you ashamed about how you smell down there? And if that's the case, the psychedelic work can help you release some of the shame and the judgments that perhaps you took on from childhood, from your parents' own ideas of their own shame around their own body, and getting into a space of doing more work around body positivity and radical self-acceptance. You don't have to love yourself in order to accept the fact that your heart can beat on its own and your eyes open up in the morning, and so your body's doing all these amazing things for you. And seeing your body as your true life partner, and creating a better sexual relationship first with yourself, I think is the key here, is getting in tune with what feels good for you. And that can be like, okay, like, how do I want to be touched? And what kind of pressure do I like? And if it's too scary to be touched, that's where I start with Reiki, and that's non-touch type of support. So again, I meet my clients where they're at. If they want to be touched, then I could use more of a hands-on type of technique. But if they don't want to be touched, then I could use a type of Reiki and sort of start to soften that womb space area, start to clear the energy with breath, sound, and movement. And then I have a technique called Sonic Anatomy, which I've been trained through Ellen McCusick. She has a program called Sing the Body Electric. And it talks about how different parts of the body have different sounds that correlate to different organs. And so I've got sounds for the pelvic area, the womb space, the stomach. And so I'll have those clients start to make those sounds while they're on my table. And so again, I'm integrating breath, sound, and movement. I'm integrating expressive arts therapy. I'm integrating hypnotherapy and internal family systems work, all to help that person have a deeper understanding and acceptance of themselves. And that leads to
Wow.
greater levels of creativity, self-trust, and safety.
Well, it was because I was talking to my current partner last night, because we took a step back for a few months. And in that time, I landed this job, dream job, talking about something I just felt was intentional for the world, and there was integrity in it. And I also was doing work on self-acceptance and hugging and integrating those things in me during that separation, because there's a little bit of entanglement. And so as I started getting to know me and my body and integrating, which would be nowhere close to if I were using plant medicine and things like that, but I had to start somewhere from where I was. It's amazing, because what I realized, my point of that is, when I came back with the said partner, the perception I had, the more I loved me, this person no longer was a threat. This person, the trust issues weren't even talked about yet, but they just didn't exist. It's like the more I loved me and I was my husband or wife, the more I could feel the love coming from that other person. And when we would make love or anything like that, whole different level, from a place of self-compassion and love. The way I perceived him had nothing to do with him anymore. It was just gratitude to share this experience with another human versus expectation. Because I'm my husband. We're a throuple. I guess we're a throuple. No, but anyway, it was interesting. Mm-hmm. The changes and the kind of work you do and what it actually does benefit the couple, the more you love yourself. I always heard that. I thought it was a cliche, but it's so true. It's so true.
Well, if you believe that we're all one, that we're really balancing the yin and the yang, the masculine and feminine within ourselves. And the more that we do that work and we start to integrate those aspects of our psyche, that the more we will attract, even our partners will start to shift and change in front of us, because we're doing the work on ourselves. And when we do plant medicine work, we're healing 7 generations in front of us and 7 generations behind us.
Whoa, now that's a new one for me. I've heard of we're all one and we can help. Like, I have 2 daughters. The work I do will affect them. I have heard that, but the number and the specifics, that's so interesting. So maybe they won't struggle with orgasm and body shame like I did, because I chose to intentionally learn to look in the mirror and go look at those parts that weren't perfect. Mm-hmm. And because I had body dysmorphia, I still struggle with it off and on. And I was not comfortable naked in the bedroom. I was not comfortable until my most recent partner. Was the first time in 36 years that I wanted the lights on.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. And I can attribute a lot of that to the integrative work I did with plant medicine, for sure. It's in the experiences. I'm sure you've had clients. What transformational experiences? I know we can't go into specifics probably of them, but I'm sure you've seen miracles, things happen in people's lives. What have you seen?
So I want to talk about why, the MDMA therapy really works very well. It is not necessarily because it makes you more sexual. Is it because it creates an opening for more emotional intimacy with yourself and with your partner? You're able to speak to things that are on your heart and mind that you have never been able to speak to, like in your whole relationship. Again, it quiets the amygdala, the fight or flight part of your brain. It opens up the prefrontal cortex and allows you to have equanimity and neutrality talking about triggering topics. So it's really, really helpful and healing as far as creating a sense of softness in your system and a heart opening to yourself, to your partner, which creates deeper levels of trust and intimacy. So that's why it works really well. And miracles that I've experienced, I mean, I've had couples on the verge of divorce that have come and seen me and they're doing absolutely great now. I've had I've helped a lot of clients that have had PTSD and sexual trauma. I also had an ex veteran, an ex cop, come to me and do an integrative healing session while he had a microdose, and he was able to see people that had died and send them to the light and relieve himself of the
Wow.
PTSD in the session, and he hasn't struggled since. I've had people come off of antidepressants after 30 plus years of being on them and are now able to feel things deeply, even though it feels like a lot for them. They feel really grateful that they can actually feel more joy. And then I've also seen people releasing dread and fear and anxiety just in their everyday life, and also when it comes to their relationships with their partners, have more patience for their children, deeper levels of patience and better communication skills when it comes to communicating with your partner, because I teach nonviolent communication skills and authentic
cool.
relating. And so those types of activities are the playful activities, because how we play games is how we play life. And so I help couples play intimacy games that help them develop a deeper connection.
Okay, so if they were struggling with, let's say, erectile dysfunction and these sorts of things, I think we talked about this. Like, we can address the smells things. Oh my God, smell aversions. I'm a hypersensitive, and I have sensory things that I'm overcoming because I want to, and it's like, when you were saying like this kind of thing, because in sex, like, there are smell aversions, there are quirky things, places you're scared to be touched, a lot of people, insecurities, orgasm issues, holding an erection. These are things we hear about all the time. So in your practice, you're able to help people with these things, from what you
Yes.
told me in our phone call. That's so cool.
Yes, and a lot of it I mean, a big portion of it has to do with emotions and helping people feel deeper. Because if you can't feel what you like or what you don't like, and you've got blocks around that, then it's going to be hard to tell your partner what you want or how you want it. So what I teach is emotional release tools and techniques to help my clients first remove their baggage so that there's nothing getting in the way of them connecting with their partner. And then going really slow, things like eye gazing, like
Ooh.
breath work, where I'm breathing in your breath and then you're breathing out, and we're connecting our breath to and our eyes. And so intimacy in that in a form of like tantra,
That's what
practices.
touch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tantra. So you do tantra work
Yes,
for
I've
intimacy.
trained with ISTA, the International Shamanic Temple of the Arts, and
Wow.
I have some great techniques and tools that I've learned through studying with them, and continue to learn and grow, because it's always an expansion, right?
It is. I remember the first time I did eye gazing, I had a gentleman who, it didn't end up going past one date, but he really loved eye gazing. He went to a festival or something, and the person on stage asked everyone to do it. So he was heterosexual, cisgender, but he looked into another man's eyes, just as human to human, spirit to spirit. And they both started crying. And so he was like, will you do that with me? And I feel safe to do that with you. I know that your heart's someone it wouldn't harm me to be in alignment in that way with you. And I was like, I'm a curious creature. Of course, let's do it. It was profound 5 minutes, the most profound 5 minutes of looking at someone's eyes, the level of intimacy that was that you could connect to, because I don't think I could have felt those insecurities in that moment of, am I too fat? Do I have a body roll here? Because we were naked. And yes, it was eye gazing nude, but it was like really interesting. It was very interesting.
It's a beautiful practice, yeah, to do that sort of work. I do that in women's circles too, is I have
Oh,
women stare into each other's eyes, and and it's to meet your edge, and and to come back. And there's also practices where you can be back to back and feel your partner's weight, feel the support of that person against you. So there are ways we can start small and safely, and then building up to deeper and deeper layers of intimacy and trust. So again, attuning to the nervous system, seeing where each person is at and what their traumas are, and then meeting them where they're at, and imploring some different tools and tips and tricks that can help them slowly start to get closer and closer to a middle. So if like we've got one person that's hypersexual, and then one person that has had a lot of sexual trauma and they don't really want sex at all, how can we help that couple come more towards the middle?
That's so important, because with all the experts I've talked to, the top desire discrepancy is within a couple or a relationship tends to be very common, extremely common. Hearing one couple wants it, one person wants it more than the other. And even if there wasn't trauma involved, and it's just preference, one is a bit more hypersexual, one's just not. I think that we live in such a world of right and wrong, and it should be this way because I perceive life from my lens, and that is what's best, that kind of mentality. And so with that work too, that integrative work with a couple, even without trauma, meeting for a negotiation.
Yes.
Very cool.
100%. Yeah, there's a lot you can do, if both people are willing to show up, and a lot can be done too around like nonviolent communication, speaking to feelings and needs and making requests. And oftentimes, I don't know about you, but a lot of the women that I work with have a hard time about asking for what they want. Yeah. And sometimes they don't even know what they want, but a lot of times they have a fear of rejection. They ask for what they want, or that they're not going to get it, or they have a fear of being too much, or that's too needy, or and so that's the personal, also the deeper personal work that I do with clients, is helping them navigate those fears, and making space for those things to exist and to be named and to be acknowledged, so that we can help those parts of themselves start to be understood and to soften back, so that they can step more into a space of courage and openness.
Well, it's interesting what you just said, because this has come out twice on the show so far. I talked with Allison Armstrong, who studies the instinctual behaviors of the human being, of the female and the male, on a more of a binary level. We're not talking about energy and soul, even though whatever. But so on the binary level, women typically on the nervous system level are safety driven. And it's like in our DNA. So we actually talked about this, that asking questions, why it's hard for women. And it's because how we've been conditioned, based on what she was saying, is how we've been conditioned was masculine energy is about going forward, protect, provide. And we were gatherers, like a gathering energy. And then curiosity, because we're safety driven. Is this safe? That's why we go to the bathroom in herds. Like, is it safe? And men are like, what? What are they doing? What's the point of this? And we're like, there doesn't need to be a point. It's feminine energy. It flows, but to ask a question, to ask or say what you want, means we might lose our protector, our provider. We might be abandoned. We might be rejected. So it's actually a brave thing for a woman, and a very mysterious thing, because it's rare. You're the most mysterious person in the room, is what I heard once. The woman who can ask for what she wants boldly and bravely. I just think that's so cool that you help women do that, because it's powerful to get past that.
It's definitely empowerment work that I do.
That's beautiful. I love that. And that to me is the clean feminist work, the work of not men are bad. It's the feminine, being a cheerleader for you and your feminine energy, but also for your masculine energy. And because those are both needed.
You need the container in order to have the creativity to, expand. So the safe setting is the masculine energy, the container. And then you've got the feminine energy, which is like this void, the creativity, the possibility. And so we all have these energies within us. It's just a matter of integrating our feminine and masculine energies, our yin and our yang.
Yeah, it is. It's like everything's like a fractal in a way. It's, we have relationship with self, touching oneself, doing the work with someone like you to get in communication with our bodies and our inner child, and integrating and healing. And then we can go out and have this experience with another being in a way, if we choose to do so, that is more about being whole within oneself and you could probably experience the sexual experience a lot, be grateful for it, and take in all the things that your higher self possibly would want you to experience in this experience, versus I'm uncomfortable. This is just for reproduction. I don't, for me, that's not what sex is. It's not just for reproduction. It's very sacred for me.
Yeah.
But it's okay if that is how people are. It's all accepting here. But I just think it's so cool what you do. If people, what kind of journeys do you do with people? Like, do you do retreats? Like, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so a lot of what I do is I do a lot of integration and preparation work for psychedelic experiences, and I also do all sorts of retreats. I travel across the country and whatnot, and to support that. And I also do psychedelic integration for an addiction center out in Mexico. I'm one of their integration coaches. So working with clients that are coming off of like fentanyl and meth and heroin, have sexual addictions, and they take a medicine called Iboga or Ibogaine, and I have personal experience working with that medicine, and I can support people that are coming off of those medicines and help them integrate into their lives for the next 90 days. And so I sort of have a program for people that have done an Ibogaine flood, and that's a 90-day protocol that I've created to support people with recreating their life because with Ibogaine you get a fresh start, you get your slate wiped clean. And so in the next 90 days after your flood, you have the chance to restart your whole life. And so I help clients with that. And then also I support clients with all sorts of different types of sacred plant medicines. I work with like Hape and Sananga, and I do third eye activation ceremonies and women's retreats and all sorts of different stuff. And of course, I host expressive arts workshops, and I do individual coaching around chakra clearing and around integrative healing arts when it comes to blockages of creativity, because creativity is my jam. And I like to empower people to be their most radical, authentic selves and give permission for that. So, my work is very diverse, and it includes a lot of different types of modalities because every single person is very different and has different needs. But ultimately, if someone is really interested in working with me, they could learn more by going to my website and booking a free 45-minute discovery call. Or they can also check out, I have a bi-weekly resource and support group call. And this is a type of call where you can come ask questions about the work that I do or about psychedelics in general. You can share your own psychedelic experiences, or you can really just hold space and listen to others. So that's a guided container that I host every other Monday, Eastern time, 6 to 7:30. And again, you could sign up for that on my website under group calls. So choose this 45-minute discovery call to book your free 45-minute discovery call, or go under my group classes, and you'll see my weekly dances and my monthly music jams and the bi-weekly group calls. So I host a lot of community events because I love creating safe spaces for community. So my website is www.marisaskolky.com, and that's MARISASKOLKY.com. And my company is called Beyond Limits Expressive Arts Therapy, LLC. So people can contact me that way as well.
And I will make sure, everybody, to post that below. So you have many different ways to get with Marisa. And even if it's just one eye open, just to go figure it out, go to the bi-weekly groups and just go. It's a safe container to check out, to hear other people's stories. Because you've heard a lot today, but you can hear other people's real life stories. And I think if you're being called to this, because whether you have sexual trauma or any type of trauma, you're creatively blocked, which is linked to sexuality. It's all the same energy center, as Marisa was saying. Now's your time. There's different types of healings for everyone. And if this is yours, I will post everything below so they can find you, Marisa. And I know I'm going to get with you because the MDMA thing's fascinating to me.
The microdosing program I have too is pretty powerful as well. And again, I can help support people through that in a very guided way that they can actually maximize their microdoses and take it even farther than they could ever take it before, because they have an embodied practice that helps them integrate it into their subconscious mind. So again, microdosing, full dose experiences I help prepare and support people for. And again, I'm not providing any illegal medicines. I'm providing the support for people that are needing these types of services. And I do a lot of coaching around psychedelic work. And so if people want to find out more, they can.
Would that include, I'll have everything posted. Would that include ayahuasca?
I can help people with integration for ayahuasca. I can help clients integrate any psychedelic experience and prepare for it. I work with pretty much every single medicine, and my training in Costa Rica was with ayahuasca. My training in Mexico with a Lakota pipe holder was with iboga and ibogaine. And then I'm a part of an association of entheogenic practitioners, which is a board of professionals that do all sorts of different types of psychedelic work, and we're a nonprofit. And so I'm also an ordained minister, and so this is my religious spiritual practice. And so I'm doing this in integrity under religious freedom, as far as helping other people come into connection with their own divine. And so a lot of support, a lot of training, and a lot of resources. And if I can't help you, I know someone that can.
Well, this is fascinating. And I know a lot of times people don't know where to go when they're especially in states or places that it's not as safe to talk about these kind of things. So now, you guys, if you found this episode, it's your time, it's your day. Thank you, Marisa. Thank you for being on. And it was a pleasure. And I will post everything about her. You guys, don't worry. Because I have a weird feeling a lot of you are going to be like, oh my God. Just like a calling to this. So make sure they get in touch with you. And thank you again for being
so
on
much
today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. And guys, keep it red. Maybe do some Reiki. We'll see you next time. Life in Red podcast.
Thanks for joining the Life in Red today, where we embrace passion, confidence, and positive sexuality. Keep painting your journey in bold red strokes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us so that you never miss out on living your best red life. Ready for more? Stay passionate, stay red. See you next episode.